All right, Andrew, hit us with that Sif Spoil theme song for this week.
I'm sailing away, set an open course for England's my city, 'cause I've got to be free from these Nazis trying to shoot at me.
I love how you called England a city.
There will be some young people out there who get that reference.
Yeah.
There's a new song out where a rapper actually accidentally refers to England as his city.
Nice.
So that was a callback to that. I actually know England's not a city, people.
It was a callback, I promise.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the Sif Spoil for Dunkirk. We are excited to get into it. This is Sif Spoil, where the theme song is different every single week, because at least something should be a surprise.
Yeah.
But we're going to spoil everything else. We're going into Dunkirk, and if you haven't seen it, please stop listening, pause, hold on until you have, because a couple of reasons. Number one, we don't want to spoil the movie for you. Enjoy the movie yourself. Number two, we're not going to go in any particular order, so you'll probably be very confused, because we're going to be jumping all over the place, although Christopher Nolan does that himself in the movie, so yeah. I don't know that the podcast will be any less confusing than Dunkirk itself. I guess we can start there because we mentioned it. The time trick in this movie.
Yeah.
I liked again the effort. I loved that he put right at the beginning, the mole, which is the beach, 1 week.
It just said 1 week. It didn't say 1 week before or one.
No, but see, here's what and then he said the sea 1 day, the air 1 hour.
Yeah.
Right? So basically what he's telling you by putting all that stuff right up front is the story you're seeing about these people takes place over 1 week.
Yeah.
The story you're seeing about these people takes place over 1 day. And the story you're seeing about the airplanes takes place over 1 hour.
Yeah.
And so then you're left going, oh, okay, how are these going to intersect? Like, when is this hour going to meet this day? And when is that kind of stuff. And overall, I think that's a great thing to shoot for. I thought it was really smart. He just didn't do a good enough job in my mind of putting it out there in a way that I could understand it. Like, I could understand where I was. I was really confused at a couple parts.
There's no central point where you can go, okay, before and after.
Right.
Because you're like, well, if this doesn't intersect here, then when does it intersect? Because you're going to have to watch this movie 5 or 6 times to say, okay, so this scene I'm watching right now would be happening right here.
I'm sure he knows the timeline in his brain.
But we don't.
But we don't. We need some help.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, there are parts of it that I think are clever. There's the sinking of the battleship, where it's spilling out oil, and
at the very end.
Yeah, and they floated out in their own ship that already is riddled with bullet holes, and so they're sinking. So then they're swimming towards. So you've got their perspective of swimming towards that sinking battleship and getting covered in oil. Then you've got the ship coming in with the personal ship coming in.
Yeah. We can't refer to characters because we don't know anybody's name.
Mark Rylance.
Yeah, Mark Rylance
is the main character where the little boy dies.
Yeah.
I say little boy. 15-year-old, I think, is what he was supposed to be, 15 or 16, something like that.
Still young.
Their ship is coming in to rescue those people, and also the plane, one of the planes that we start following has crashed there, or near there.
Yeah.
So everything does kind of centralize in that one event. Like, all 3 timelines are there, but it's not totally clear how we're getting there, and then what happens after that. I was really confused about the Tom Hardy stuff sometimes. Like,
apparently Tom Hardy's plane doesn't need a propeller to fly.
Well, that's a whole nother thing. At the end, it makes some sort of crazy turn that's actually not shown.
No, it doesn't
show anything. It just wants to surprise you with that he shot down one last plane.
Yeah.
Without any kind of power.
But yeah, he hadn't had an engine for like a minute before then. But he's able to turn the plane around.
Yeah, that's not a glider.
Yeah.
That's a plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand because the way it's jumping around, I thought Tom Hardy's plane was going to do a crash landing in the ocean.
Me too. Like
that one scene. And he says, I guess he has other things to do or whatever. And then I guess is when he goes to the beach. But the way it's, my brain was just having a really hard time processing who was where and what was going on when. Yeah. So maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm an idiot.
No, I'm right there with you.
Maybe we're both idiots.
Actually, I think the movie was intentionally trying to do this, but Whenever you see the destroyer at the end of the movie, and there's the oil everywhere, and you see a sinking ship next to it, I thought that was going to be Rylance's ship that was sinking, and the people were swimming away from it.
It looked enough like it that you could have seen that, but then as soon as I saw it on the beach, I knew that was the ship. I recognized it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
so I knew that was going to happen. There's also stuff with Cillian Murphy's character where they find him on a boat, like sitting on the back.
How did he get there?
Of a whole, they never show it. That was one of the things I hate. His character is not given a full story. Not that a lot of them are.
Yeah.
But it's more frustrating with him because they also show him on the beach part.
Yeah.
Saving a couple of the boys by dragging them behind a lifeboat back to shore.
And then they
also
show
different ship.
And then they show him on the lifeboat later.
Did they show him on the lifeboat as well?
Do you remember whenever they were at night, that one destroyer and it was sinking and they were trying to get out of that?
Yeah, that's
room?
what I was talking about. Where he saved them, he dragged them behind the lifeboat back to shore.
Yeah, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah,
they tried to climb in his lifeboat.
And he said,
was
"No,
like,
don't get on."
Fit in, but then they threw a rope out and they just dragged him.
I didn't see the rope. I guess it was night, so I just didn't see the rope. I thought you just said, "You have life jackets, you can swim back," and I thought that's what he did.
But then I'm like, so how did he get out
on another destroyer?
On a different destroyer?
That's what I was confused.
I'm like, why didn't we? That would have been that would have been really interesting to see how he's sitting on the back, of that ship that's just bobbing there.
Exactly.
By the propeller.
And he's the only one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing that I was confused by is, not confused by, but I had issue with is, it turns out that one of the characters we've been following this whole time is actually French.
Yes.
And people are like, have you noticed that he hasn't said a single word this entire time? And I'm thinking, none of you have said a single word this entire time.
Nobody's really said much.
I'm curious to know how many pages of dialogue there are in this movie.
I don't know.
I think Kenneth Branagh has the most dialogue in the movie.
He also has the most scenes of looking off into the distance.
Home.
He has 3 or 4 different times where we're just watching him look at something in the distance.
Just says, home.
I'm like,
I did get pumped. I did get pumped whenever he's looking through the binoculars and is like, what do you see? And he just says home. Mm-hmm. And you see all the little ships coming. I'm like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, no, that's great. But
wonderful. Then the movie just kind of ends. Okay, I will say there was one part of this movie that I never thought of, during war, but I really appreciated them actually doing it. And it's whenever Harry Styles and them, they're on the train, and they're reading the newspaper, and he's like, I don't want to read it. Because they feel like they let everybody down.
Right.
And that they failed England, and that England is just going to be... And he says they're going to be spitting on us, they're going to be throwing stuff at us because we failed them. But they get back home, and everybody's cheering for him. Yeah. And just the look on his face like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You're proud of us, but we failed you.
Yeah.
He has that look like, we went through this whole thing, but at the end of the day, we know we failed.
Yeah.
And I never thought of that before.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah, no, that was powerful. There are some powerful moments in here. They just deal with events, not people. And so it's harder for me to personally connect to events as opposed to people. So, yeah. I don't know that there's really a lot else to spoil because, again, there's not a lot of story development with these people. So there's nothing really to spoil there.
Yeah.
Other than just key moments that maybe, we enjoyed or didn't enjoy. I liked the end of Tom Hardy's story.
Being a POW now?
Yes. I thought that was powerful. I thought that was an interesting, kind of bitter,
that was
way
the
to
first
end it,
time we
bittersweet.
actually saw a German soldier. Did you know that?
No, I didn't realize that, but that makes sense. Yeah. I thought the intro was really powerful with them walking through the streets.
And he just wants to go to the bathroom, and he's just, no matter where he goes, tries to go to the bathroom, something's going on, and he has, I gotta go somewhere else now.
He wants to go to the bathroom in the kind of way where you gotta drop trowel. So.
I like how he's picking up the propaganda. He's gonna use that as toilet paper.
Yeah.
I like that. People, please realize we liked the movie. Please realize that we liked the movie, but on the echelon of Nolan movies, we don't think it's his best.
I just think the purposeful decision he made impacted my enjoyment of the film in a negative way.
Yeah. Whereas other people are going to like it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. Anything else you want to cover spoiler-wise? Just be a quick Sif spoil.
I'm trying to think. It's going to be like a 7-8 minute Sif spoil.
That's fine. If we don't have anything else to say, it doesn't bother me.
That's the thing with not documentaries, but historical reenactments. It's that you can't really spoil it because it's history. So,
what did you think about the scene on the boat where they sneak onto the first escape boat? And they're getting jelly on bread, and one of them stays outside because he doesn't trust going inside, and that turns out to be the right decision.
Yeah,
because he opens the door for them and was
the French guy,
right? Yes, yeah. And then he's the one that dies later, right?
No, they all lived. I think.
Did they? Who died in the
fire?
No, in the drowning of the ship that was being used for target.
That was him.
Yeah,
that was him. Yeah,
I think that was him.
Wow.
So.
Because it was him. It was our main. Is there a main guy? The very first. Poop and propaganda guy. He was the guy who survived, him and Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Because Harry Styles, we found out he survived because he was the one who announced that George was dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then our main guy, the propaganda guy, was the guy the last one they were actually dragging behind the boat trying to lift him out of the oil.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised as many of the people we were watching, like our main people, lived.
Yeah, well, I was surprised. I think you're supposed to be surprised by how many of all the people lived. Like
that's the story. It's the miracle of Dunkirk is how many survived.
Yeah.
But at the same time, 100,000 of them didn't make it.
Correct.
And I think that I'm surprised that Nolan, being the storyteller he was, had so many of these people survive. We don't. I think it's left up in the air that Tom Hardy's not meant to live.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, and we haven't also talked about the kid that I mentioned that he died, the 15-year-old that died in the boat.
Cillian Murphy killed him accidentally.
Well, he accidentally pushed him down the stairs and
hit his head.
That
somehow.
Was the loss that I feel like I should have felt it more, but I just didn't.
Yeah.
I like.
Again, we don't know enough about those characters
right?
to care about them.
I don't understand. Like, I just am not connected to it enough. It's just I don't know. Maybe Nolan's making some grand point about caring about humanity in general and not having to have those specifics. I don't know, but I just, as a human being, I think it's so much easier to connect when you have those things.
Yeah. And maybe that's to you and I's detriment of not being able to care about humanity in general.
But it's a movie. It's not real life. Like, if I see a stranger on the street that's going through something, I care about them as a human being. I'm going to do something, right? I don't need to know their backstory to care about them in real life. But when I'm watching a movie and I'm being told a story, it's just good storytelling to help me care more deeply about them, to tell me some of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like this movie could have tweaked some of that really easily. I feel like it could have, found a way here or there to have a conversation or have a moment where we, start to understand these people better. But that definitely was not what he was interested in.
Yeah. I do like how in the movie they touch on the fact that the soldiers were mad at the Air Force for not being there.
That was interesting, yeah.
And when they really were there, and they're like, "Where were you?" And he's like, "I was out there." But then, what Ryan Lance's character was like, "They know where you were. Yeah. These guys on the boat know where you were."
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I like that.
Yeah, that was good, and I liked a lot of the dogfighting stuff. A lot of that dogfighting stuff.
That was the best part of the movie.
Pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah.
So again, lots of amazing stuff here, visually, technically.
I totally forgot that quad engine German thing had guns on the back. So whenever he went around the back and it started shooting back, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot that thing had that," and it startled me.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Just that sound design is so good.
Yeah. Oh, the ticking clock. The ticking clock is what I hesitated to bring up specifically. There's a ticking clock throughout this entire movie up until the train ride. And it stops when they get into the town and they're being celebrated or whatever. And it's just this really interesting psychological thing that happens with that sound effect.
Ticking clock?
Yeah, you didn't even notice it?
No.
It's through the entire movie.
There's a clock ticking? Didn't notice it.
It's incredible. It's psychologically.
Maybe it was one of those things that it just became white noise to me, and I tuned it out, and I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, it's used very purposefully for that because it finishes right there at the end when they're on the train. So, and there's like silence for the first time in the entire movie.
Like even when they're going through like the propaganda streets and everything. That
I think so. Yeah, I really think so.
I noticed the clock whenever Tom Hardy was looking at his watch and it was ticking.
Yeah,
but other than that, I didn't notice it.
Yeah, unless my mind's playing tricks on me.
But that sounds cool though.
Yeah,
I wish I would have noticed it.
Well, but it's almost really cool that you didn't. You know what I mean? Like just one of those things that's subtly in the background is influencing the tension and the,
Yeah, but I like to pick up on stuff like that. So. That's a knock on me, not the movie. I hope people realize that.
Well, there you go. There's some thoughts on some spoilerish thoughts on Dunkirk. You know what we didn't mention in the podcast that we should mention here is whether or not you would recommend it. And I think that makes it easier for people to understand, that this is a good movie because what?
I would.
Yeah, I would too. Absolutely recommend it. Like this is one you should definitely see.
I don't know if it's rewatchable though.
Well, you need to rewatch it for the ticking clock, if nothing else.
Yeah, and I have to try and get that time frame,
the timeline figured out.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was the beach thing lasting a week. I didn't understand how that could have lasted a week. It was like 2 days.
Yeah,
I didn't understand that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like even if that had just said 3 days at the beginning instead of a week, I think it would have made more sense to be.
Yeah.
In my brain
because I don't know how that time was spaced.
Yeah, it was weird. I know they went through night once. Did they go through night twice? I don't remember them going through night twice.
I don't either.
So how is it a week?
See, that's what if you're going to say a week, show the week.
Yeah.
Don't show like 2 days of the week.
Right. Yeah, it just gets confusing.
I'm right there with you.
All right, there you go. Dunkirk, Sif Spoil. Next week we've got Atomic Blonde. I doubt we'll do spoilers on Emoji Movie.
Who knows? Maybe it'll be the Memento or it'll Shyamalan us somehow.
Somehow.
Yeah.
M. Night's the Emoji Movie. It'll happen. All right, we'll check you out then. You can check out, again, our review of Valerian, if you want to check that out, by supporting at the Patreon. That's in our pre-show that is available to supporters. So, but we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
I hear it now.